We're going to do a simple name design here using 1-point perspective. So what we have here is a ruler, pencil, and a sheet of paper. That's all we're going to need. First thing to do is we're going to make a horizon line along the top of the page. Do this lightly. And then we're going to put a vanishing point right in the center of that. And then we're going to need to figure out how big we need to make the name. So for the name that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to only use 3 letters. So we're going to take this space and we're going to break it up into 3 boxes. It's 12 inches across, so 12 divided by 3 is 4. So as long as I keep them in 4-inch spaces, so if I mark it off at 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 at 8, that'll give me some nice spacing for that. So I know that as long as I don't go past this line, and as long as I don't go past this line, I have plenty of room for the 3 letters I'm going to be doing. So for this one, we're going to draw this with straight lines because we want this to be boxes. So I'm going to write the name Jim. J-I-M. Now, to make this into box letters, an easy thing to do is to just surround this line that we already made with straight line boxes like that. So we're just going to go around all of them, straight line boxes, and that'll give us block lettering. Nice and easy. Plus we'll have that spacing, which is correct. The thing about that spacing that can become pain is that when you're trying to write any kind of sign, when you're doing anything with text in it, if you don't plan out the size of your letters ahead of time, then you can have a tough time fitting them all on the page. Anybody who's ever written like a happy birthday banner knows about that one, because you write happy with that big H and that big A, and then this P gets smaller, and then you realize, oh no, I've got like this much space left, I gotta make it smaller. And then you run out of space real quick. So the beginning looks good and the end looks all smushed up. So by spacing it out like that, you know what to do. Now I've erased the interior lines on those because we actually don't need them. And I'm going to start lining this stuff up with this vanishing point. Now my horizon line is above my letters. So I know that I'm going to see the top of all of these letters, the top of all of these spaces of the letters as well. I also know that with my vanishing point is over on the right side of a letter, I'm going to see the right side of it. If my vanishing point's over on the left side of my letter, I'm going to see the left side of it. So that's going to help me plan out so I know which lines I actually need. So anything that's on the top or on the right on my J, I'm going to connect that to my vanishing point with some converging lines or guidelines, depending on how you like to call them. And I'm going to line up all of these corners with that. So anything that's on the top of the space, you can see it. And we'll continue. Or anything that's on the right-hand side of a space, we definitely want to make sure we include. Now, I could continue them beyond that part of the J, but I really don't need to, because they're going to be covered up by this. Now, it's okay if it goes over, if any of your guidelines go over another letter, because we're going to be erasing them later on anyway. Now, for creating that three-dimensional effect, I'm just going to darken along my guidelines a distance back that I want my J to go, and then this line and this line need to be parallel, and that'll create the top of that space of the J. Now, because of that, I know where this line's going to go for this, coming down. This is going to run parallel to this, so I'm going to go vertical and darken my guideline there. And now I know where this is going to be, so this is going to run parallel to this, and that's going to disappear behind the rest of the J. So, if that's my distance back here, it's going to be the same kind of distance back here. I could just eyeball that. You don't have to do anything fancy because this is simple. That's what we're going for. These two spaces, this line and this line, are going to be parallel to each other. I'm just going to use the ruler so it looks a little bit neater. When I'm going over a larger space, I like to use the ruler because it's just easier to keep my hand from wobbling if I have a guide to work with. Now we're going to use that space here for that. Have that far back, and then again, this and this are parallel. This runs along the guideline. Here's my space here. It's going to go parallel to this one. Again, it's a long line, so I want to line them up using a ruler just to make it look a little neater. And there's this space here. We'll darken that up. And darken that up. And now we have a J drawn in 1 point perspective using a vanishing point. Now I can go ahead and erase these converging lines because we don't need them. And they might get confusing as I'm working with my next letter. And then I'm just going to do the same thing to each letter as I go across. This I is directly below the vanishing point, which means I'm not going to see the right-hand side of anything, and I'm not going to see the left-hand side of it, because the vanishing point's neither on the right or the left, it's above. So I only have to worry about the tops for the I. So we'll go like that. Anything that's on the top goes up. And that's that. This line is going to run parallel to something back here. Here's my distance, why not? Here's my eyes, bottom edge, and then we'll use that distance to the top here. Straight across. Darken that. And there's my eye drawn in 1 point perspective. I'm almost done. Now I'm going to move on to the M. The M has the vanishing point over to its left. So we're going to see the left side and the tops of all of this. So anything that's on the left and anything that's on the top is going to require a guideline or a converging line to help me figure out where I want to put it, where I need to make my sides. These are all guides for me. Helpful lines. If I don't put them in, I don't know where to draw. There we go. Again, this is going to disappear behind that, so I don't have to draw the rest of it. This is going to disappear beyond that, so I don't have to draw the rest of it. And that's all I'm going to need for that M. We'll make our distance going back. And this line and this line are parallel. This gets started. Here's my distance for this. Oops, I forgot a guideline. Now, you know if you need a guideline because your guideline's going to go between the front and the back. That's going to connect to the same two lines that created the front of that space. Some people find that a little bit easier to understand. Some people find that extremely confusing. Problem is I don't know which kind of people you are. Now this is interesting because I'm going to have a line that's going to run parallel to this line here. It's not straight anymore. This one's going to be at an angle because it's the inside of that M. And here, I'm going to go, this got a little curved so it looks a little strange, but this is going to go very tight against here to that guideline. So that space is just barely out of your view, but close enough that you can see part of it. This is definitely needed there, and that's it. This goes here, and this line is going to run parallel to this one, and it's going to go straight up until it can't go anymore. And there is our M. I can erase the converging lines for this, or the guidelines, whatever you prefer to call them, and now I have the word gym written in 1 point perspective and nicely spaced across the page. Now, whatever word you're doing, just got to measure it out, do a little math depending on the size of your paper, and give yourself the right kind of spacing. Take your time. It is complicated at first, but the more you do this, the better at it you're going to get. Good luck.
If you like this video, please hit the like button below. You can also subscribe to SterbART to be notified of the latest video uploads and to help support the channel. Keep learning, creating, and inspiring.